With Meat coming out soon and all the hype built around it, I think the most important decision, or one of the most important decisions in this game, is which sect, aka faction, you should join. And in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down every single faction, what to expect out of them, and what are the rules of these factions, so that you can decide for yourself which faction you plan on joining, and also I'll mention which one I'll be joining myself. Before we get into that though, hello, my name is Shiko, and if you end up enjoying this kind of content, don't forget to like and subscribe, as it does help me out tremendously. And also, just to note, I will be running an active 100-man guild over on my Discord. I'll leave the links down in the first comment, so be sure to come join us if you're interested in just an active community in which you can have a lot of people to play with from different roles and play styles. With that out of the way, let's get straight into the video. Before we break down though all the different sects or factions, the best part of this system is that every position, from the officers all the way to the sect leaders in the system, is actually ran by actual players and not NPCs. So this is not the kind of thing where like the sects are managed by the system or NPCs or whatever. And leaders are, by the way, elected by the members as well of the sect. And the way to become a leader is essentially you have to build high enough reputation, and then you can run for elections to be a sect leader, essentially. It is a fantastic social hub system that brings a lot of perks and fun tasks as well to enjoy while you're playing, and that's why I feel like this is a very important decision to make. Keep in mind though, you can leave your faction at any given point if you wished, but you need to keep in mind that there will be a brutal trial in which you get hunted actually by other players, and you need to basically succeed that trial to be able to switch factions if you wanted to. Not to mention, you can also choose to be sectless and live like a lone wolf if you wanted to. But I've heard that there are some like diminishing returns to that, but we're not 100% sure yet what the diminishing returns are going to look like. Anyway, that was a lot of blabbering about the system. Let's now get into the actual sects or factions that are available in the game. The first one is the Raging Waves, and the Raging Waves is actually one of the best factions in my opinion, because this is a faction that is all about like, you know, getting drunk and having drunk warriors and camaraderie, and it's all about like drinking all the fucking time, basically fighting and brotherhood. In this faction, being drunk is actually a way of living rather than simply getting drunk here and there, because you actually need to maintain a level of drunkenness to be able to continue being in the sect. And you can join this faction if you're the kind of person that is into being like a rowdy, drunk bunch of people that love fighting. Do keep in mind that to even be allowed to join this faction, you need to maintain a level of drunkenness at all times to be able to join this faction. The next faction on the list is the Pear Troupe. Keep in mind these translations could also be off, obviously. But either way, they could have different names in global, but the overall is going to be the same. This faction is not fully released yet though, but this is all for you dancers that are like, you know, you love putting on a show, you love learning dancing in a game, putting on a performance. And you can join this faction if you want to perform, be a dancer in Meat, but just be aware that people refer to this faction as the prostitute faction of Meat. Once again though, this is a faction that is not fully released yet. We don't know much about the perks that you get out of it, but it is going to be there in the game. The next faction on the list is the Celestial Spring, and that is the Righteous faction, which in every game I've ever played, I feel like the righteous quote-unquote faction is usually the stuck-up individuals. But anyway, what I like to call this the wannabe righteous, because I feel like a lot of these people are wannabes. Anyway, this is also apparently a sausage fest from what we've gathered on the Chinese server, but also can mean that it's one of the factions that always has a fun time, because, you know, whenever it's a sausage fest, the boys like to have a great time. This faction is, however, quite stuck up with the rules, so keep that in mind. They don't allow you to team up with any other faction members when it comes to the bounty missions, and also your weekly income is capped at 1 million currency. Join this faction if you want to be in a very male-dominated community, and you just want to be like one of those stuck-up righteous people. The next faction on the list is the Solitary Cloud, and this is a faction actually for intellectuals and loyal individuals who want to have only one partner. Loyalty is very important in this faction. You need to be dedicated to only one partner, as I mentioned, and if you break up with your partner, you get heavily penalized. And if you want to get a new partner, funnily enough, you need to get the blessing from your ex that you broke up with, which is crazy to me. And I'm sure that would make for a very entertaining situation, like going to your ex to ask for their blessing to join or to marry someone else. But yeah, join this faction if you're a one true love type of person, and if you also enjoy, you know, brain challenging stuff like math and stuff like that. The next faction on the list is the Azure Creek, and that is the healer faction, which I think is going to have a lot of players in my opinion, and probably going to be the most female-dominated faction as well, because as we all know, most female players, not to generalize, do enjoy the healing playstyle. So if you're the type that enjoys healing people, this is the faction for you, obviously. And do be aware though that you need to get 15 likes each week at least, so that you can continue being in the faction. However, there's a goofy part to this, and that is the fact that you can actually ask your own friends to like go into crazy situations where they jump off cliffs to break their legs or things like that, so that you can heal them, and then they can give you the likes that you need, because you need to gather 15 likes a week minimum. But yeah, join this faction if you're the type that enjoys support playstyle essentially and being a healer. The next faction on the list is the Sect of 9 Streams. Now, this is a sect for the tricksters, or what I personally like to call the clowns, because these people are just like fucking trolls. They're assholes, essentially. This is one of the most populated factions, though, because they're really good at tricking new players to join their faction, so be aware of that. Do not fall into that trap. And your main tasks in the faction is trolling people. What I mean by that is, how do you troll them? You can send like things like red envelopes that are fake in the global chat, for example, to steal money from others. But do be aware that you have to be careful, because if you get caught, your morality score goes down. Simply put though, join this faction if you are a troll. The next faction on the list is the Drunken Flower Pavilion, and even though we have talked about the Raging Waves being the drunkards, for some reason the Drunken Flower is not actually about drinking. I don't know who thought about that, but anyway. This faction is for the romantics though, and those who want to build like relationships, as you can have multiple romantic partners actually in this game, and this faction is all about that as well. Do be aware though, that if you do get more than one partner, or like you have 2, 3, 4, whatever, whenever you get a new partner, all the previous partners will get notified. And if they decide to divorce you for it, well, you'll be heavily penalized. So proceed with caution when it comes to that, and make sure to let your first partner know that you want the second one, let your second and first know that you want the third one, and get their blessings first. Join this faction though if you're a smooth operator and you're an extrovert that just wants to interact with a lot of people. The next faction, which is my personal favorite that I'll be joining on release, is the Midnight Guard faction. And this is for the edgelords and PvP fanatics like myself. And do keep in mind though, it's a little bit of an extreme faction. That's why I plan to join it initially for a while, and then probably join the Raging Waves in the future. But this is the kind of faction that you must get 10 player kills every week and not be defeated. Sadly though, I don't have much info about the not be defeated part and what it entails exactly, but I guess we're gonna find out. You'll also need to maintain a high level of negative karma score, because if it drops too low, funnily enough, your own goddamn faction members will go after your head. And I mean that literally, they will come after you to kill you, so that you can toughen up basically and man up and go fight. Join this faction if you're a PvP psychopath that enjoys the thrill, and go in a bit hardcore as well, like myself, at least initially. But yeah, this pretty much sums up all the sects in the game, or factions, and let me know down in the comments which faction interests you the most, which one you're going to be joining, and why you're going to be joining it. And once again, don't forget, we're going to be running an active guild on my server. I'm going to leave the links down in the comments, and also come check me out over on Twitch, as I'll be streaming this game extensively when the game releases, and even before that on the Chinese server. With that out of the way, thank you for watching if you made it this far, and until the next one, peace.